all good. I'm laughing at some other messages I got. What is happening, everybody? And it is time for a So Rare show, but a little bit different. Typically, Neil and I, the flannel god himself, we're breaking down So Rare from an NBA perspective, but baseball season is underway. NBA season, the regular season is wrapped up. There's still NBA contests going on So Rare. They're a little bit different than the regular season contests. So we're focusing on baseball right here. We're going to be doing some baseball shows going forward for So Rare, and it's going to be fun. Neil and I are going to learn the format with you guys as we go. We're going to develop some strategies. We'll talk different ways that we could approach So Rare. And today is the first launch of So Rare Baseball as far as the live show goes. Earlier in the week, I did do a short video where I drafted out my starter team, picked some different pitchers, some different batters I like. So if you guys want to check out that is on the YouTube channel. If you guys haven't signed up at So Rare yet, it's totally free, and you could sign up at So Rare using the link that we have below in the description box. As you guys come in, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Neil, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's Thursday, beautiful day. It's actually a rainy day, not a beautiful day, but it's beautiful if you like rain, I guess. But happy to be here to talk some So Rare MLB and explore what this is, because the product is a little bit different from NBA as far as I can tell. It's like the contests I'm seeing today don't have salary caps. There's also, it's not super flex, like there's different positions in MLB. So kind of a fun new puzzle to solve here.
And going through the scoring, because I think people should be aware, what is the scoring for baseball? It's important information to know when you're setting your line, figure out how do players accrue fantasy points. And something we should also note, there are relievers involved in this. And I know myself, I first looked at it, I was like, oh my God, relievers. How does reliever scoring work? Good news, I've looked it up. So I have that information to bring to you guys. But pitcher scoring, inning pitched is 3 points, which means you're getting 1 point per out. A strikeout is worth 2 points. Then you got an earned run allowed that is minus 2 points. So, same as what we're seeing for like FanDuel and DraftKings, where a pitcher allows a run but strikes somebody out. Those two things offset each other. A hit allowed is minus half a point. Here's something that's interesting. A walk is minus 1 point. So a walk is actually more negative points than what a hit allowed is, Neil. So that is something to keep in mind in case you guys are looking at any pitchers who, maybe their whip is a little high. If they're walking more guys than they are allowing hits, problematic for the scoring of that hitter. Hit batsman is also minus 1 point. A win is worth 5 points. A relief appearance is worth 5 points. So if you roster a reliever and they just show up in the game, you're getting 5 points for that. A save is 10 points. A hold is 5 points. So some of the aspects of that certainly difficult to predict, hard to know when pitchers are going to get saves. But one thing this does lead me to believe, Neil, and we could kind of talk through this a little bit, some of the general scoring strategy, is I think when it comes to relievers, do we just want to be drafting relievers who are just generally on better teams when you consider that you get 10 points for a save, you get 5 points for a hold? To get those stats, you need your team of that player you rostered to win the game. So does that just make pitchers from like the Rays, the Yankees, the Padres, these types of teams? It's hard to know what to make of individual relievers. I know that's not either of our specialties, but we do at least know what teams are decent. Is that a good starting spot, I think, for us to at least look at relief pitchers, is who's on a team that's expected to win?
So I do think that is a good starting spot, except for one caveat so the one relief pitcher that I went out and spent big bucks on is Spencer Strider is eligible to be a relief pitcher. So like if you can get a starter in there, I have to imagine he is immediately more valuable than any other like actual relief pitcher, any closer, any setup man, that kind of thing. So I went out and bought a Spencer Strider, and as far as I can tell, right now at least there is no salary cap. So it's like I'm just going to play Spencer Strider in that spot. But yeah, once there is a salary cap, it's assuming that that's coming, because we do see the last 10 averages that work as salary cap for NBA. We see them on the MLB guys as well. So I assume that there are going to be at least some contests that have a salary cap, in which case, yeah, I would definitely agree that we're going to want to be focusing on relievers from better teams, because yeah, the win being worth 5 points, hold being worth 5 points, and save being worth 10 points, that all helps relievers that are on good teams. So yeah, for sure, that would be my approach.
Yeah, and interesting that Spencer Strider has relief pitcher eligibility, because Spencer Strider, not a relief pitcher. So
no, he's not a relief pitcher.
Yeah, definitely a little. You know what that kind of reminds me of? Remember when you'd be able to roster like Taysom Hill? Remember the
Taysom Hill at tight end on FanDuel when he was a quarterback?
Taysom Hill, yeah, and he just broke the slate because
just a cheat code.
Yeah. Because you just had a min-price tight end that was a quarterback. It's like, all right, he could have the shittiest game ever for a quarterback and score like 6 fantasy points, and you're off to a pretty good start
Right.
there. I'm trying to remember did you play that slate? Do you remember?
Oh, I played that slate and I locked in Taysom Hill. I'm fairly certain.
I did, and I'm trying to remember. His ownership was high, but I remember being less than I thought it was going to. Wasn't he like 60% owned or something like
Maybe
that?
something like that. Yeah.
And and he should have just been like, and he was the optimal tight end that week because how would he not be? And he ended up having a decent game for a quarterback. It wasn't like he broke it, but I think it was like 16 fantasy points, something along those lines, which for a tight end mid price, that's breaking the slate. So yeah, I think Spencer Strider kind of has similar sort of utility on Sorare right now, assuming he's able to hold that relief pitcher eligibility for a little bit. Now, he's not going to get a relief appearance because he's not entering the game as a reliever, but you're still getting the innings pitched, you're getting the strikeouts, all those stats. And Spencer Strider, my guy, the current betting favorite to win Cy Young in the National League.
Is he really? Did you make that bet?
I did before the season. I also had him for Rookie of the Year last year, and I don't know if this counts for anything, but I feel like he should have won.
Who was it? His Michael Taylor, or who was it that won?
Michael Harris.
Michael Harris.
Yeah. So his teammate ended up winning, but so Spencer Strider, what ended up happening last year is I had him to win Rookie of the Year, and he was actually a big favorite to win the award. And then he got hurt towards the tail end of the season, and the Braves had already locked up their playoff spot. They just kind of shut him down for the rest of the regular season. And so at the time, he had Strider was like a minus 300 favorite or something like that to win. And then Michael Harris played well down the stretch. And then the voters just kind of split the votes, but ended up giving Michael Harris the award. I might never get over that.
Do you see this question from Justin Bottom? Says, hey, fellas, looking at Sorare, only relief pitcher for Striders on 2022 season cards. Does the season matter when entering tournaments? As far as I can tell, the tournaments that I've looked at so far, it does not matter. Like I entered a lineup that had Strider in it at relief pitcher. So I don't believe that. I think the cards will have utility for the length of a player's careers. Yeah, I don't think that the season matters.
As far as we know right now, the cards are going to last for forever, until the player retires, and then you're not rostering anymore. But one thing that will reset each year is you get the experience points for the players. So like in basketball, each time you roster a player, I'm trying to remember exactly how much experience accrues, but you get experience that multiplies the amount of fantasy points they get. It's not like a breaking amount, but you do get an experience boost, and that is going to reset at the start of each season. And by the way, Tyler Houston saying Tatis cards got posted for the first time.
That's today, exciting.
So we got Fernando Tatis in the mix, and maybe the dumbest professional athlete going right now, but a hell of a baseball player. So somebody who we should certainly consider. I don't know if you know this about Fernando Tatis, but number one, you guys, I would highly recommend. I think Tatis is going to be a monster this year. I know people are concerned about the steroid suspension, him coming back from that, the injuries and all that. Here's probably the funniest answer that Tatis gave last year that really, I think, displays what his IQ is. So do you remember last year he broke his wrist? I think it was. He got hurt in a motorcycle accident.
Yep.
And somebody asked him how the motorcycle accident occurred. His answer was, which one?
That is a great answer.
Yeah. So he was in this motorcycle accident. He got hurt. And apparently he'd been in multiple motorcycle accidents. He only got injured in the one. And so when the reporter asked him how the motorcycle accident occurred, he didn't know. He was like, oh, well, which motorcycle accident?
Are you talking about the one that is the reason that I'm out, or like one of my other random motorcycle accidents?
So he was in multiple motorcycle accidents. And then also the steroid suspension, which steroid suspensions, if you're a professional athlete, particularly one with money, this is an IQ test. They're not testing you for steroids. They're saying, are you smart enough to be able to skirt the steroid test? He failed the IQ test, which was the steroid test. And to my understanding, the substance he tested positive for is not one that's massively performance enhancing, but it is something that is used to cover up substances that are performance enhancing that would otherwise appear in tests. But if there's any concerns about what his production might be, in the minor leagues, he absolutely destroyed the ball. He has something like 300 WRC plus in his couple of weeks in the minor leagues. So it's something that I am not massively concerned about. I can't say it's a 0% concern, but I tend to think Tatis is going to be really good. I did place bets on him to win MVP as soon as we started to see him get ruled that he was going to be active this week. So I'm in on Tatis. I think he's going to be really good. For the people who are considering buying cards, is this a concern of yours? It's obviously there's no right or wrong answer because we don't know. But how much do you think him coming back from a steroid suspension could potentially impact his results?
It's not a concern for me with Tatis. I think that, and the fact that he was hitting well in the minor leagues, like
Yeah.
if I would have concern maybe if he was like terrible in the minor leagues, like maybe he needed those steroids and he's not taking them anymore. But since he's raking in the minors, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, we are on the same page with that. And I'm going to pull up because I've got his Fangraphs page open. Minor league stats. So tell me, you think this is good? In 8 games in the minor leagues, Tatis hit 7 homers. He had a slash line, a batting average of 515. His on base percentage was 590. His slugging percentage was 1212. So all things put together, his WRC plus 294 in those
Yeah.
minor league rehab appearances. So he couldn't hit any better than that. And by the way, his projections going forward, Steamer has him with a 173 WRC plus. The Bat has him with a 167 WRC plus. So by pretty much all projection systems, not only do they expect Tatis to be really good, most of them actually have him as of today as the most valuable player in baseball, just
Yeah.
from a wins above replacement perspective. So if that's what the projection models are saying, I'm going to be on board. The last time we saw him active for a full season, 2021, Tatis, 42 homers, 25 stolen bases, 157 WRC plus. He's worth 7.2 wins above replacement. He was super valuable in 2021. He had the year off. He's going to come back. I think he's immediately going to make an impact. So thank you for letting us know, Tyler Houston, that Tatis card just got posted for the first time today. I think he is somebody of interest for sure. And by the way, the scoring for the hitters, because we just talked about the scoring for the pitchers. Here's what we got for the hitters. A run is worth 3 points. An RBI is worth 3 points. A single is worth 2 points. A double is worth 5 points. A triple is 8 points. A home run is 10 points. A walk is 2 points. A strikeout is -1. So that's really the only real differences that we have between the DraftKings hitter scoring and the Sorare hitter scoring is that a strikeout is -1, a caught stealing is -1, a stolen base is 5, hit by pitch is 2. So in general, looking at everything about the same, but just a little bit different. There's negative points for a strikeout, negative points for the caught stealing. So something to keep in mind. And maybe you don't just want to go roster, like that 9-hole hitter that's super cheap because they could be scoring negative fantasy points. So something to keep note of. And anything else you want to add? General thoughts about the strategy or anything of Sorare? And it's okay if you don't. And if not, we'll build out a lineup here.
Yeah, well, I posted those scoring rules in chat as well. If you're in YouTube chat, you can see that I posted a link there. Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting. Like, I wonder if there will be certain contests that have the salary cap, that kind of thing. Other contests that don't. Maybe I've already seen they do like NL only and AL only, which is kind of fun. That you can, some cards that are only eligible in one contest and not the other. And I think they're running them at the same time. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I see limited American League there. Yeah, if you scroll down, yeah, limited National League there as well. Okay, so you can play, whichever way you want to play. It's going to be fun. But yeah, I don't think I have any other. I will say I think that our projections are going to be helpful if we do come out with projections for this, which I imagine we're going to, because it has unique scoring. Like a lot of people will just use like standard DraftKings scoring or FanDuel scoring, whatever. So I think that or like for their projections, they will use scoring from other sources. So I think if we have projections that are specific to this stat format, I think that'll be really helpful here.
All right, so let's go ahead and start building a lineup. So which one is it that you have cards for right now, Neil?
So I bought a bunch of limited cards. So any of those, let's look at what are the prize pools for those? Can you scroll down a little, Mike?
Yes, we've got the limited American League. We've got the majors, limited All-Star.
I mean, limited pro has the best prizes there. So I think that's probably going to be the one I focus on.
Limited pro it is. So click on that one, Mike, and we'll start building out a lineup. And you'll see some starting pitchers. And one thing of note here is that we do have Jacob deGrom is a probable starter in the upcoming season. Unfortunately, you have a Jeffrey Springs in there who got off to a great start to this year.
Yeah.
And now Tommy John surgery. Lots of people up in arms because of the whole situation where he missed his strikeout prop by the hook on the day that he got hurt. But yeah, so I think by default, we're going to want to go to deGrom here as a starter, just because, by the way, yeah, so you see Strider, not only a reliever, starter and reliever. So you can actually play him in either spot. But
if he's not starting, so if Strider is not listed as a probable starter,
yeah, so I don't think I don't think he has a scheduled start in the upcoming slate because he just made a start.
Oh no. So I need a different reliever. So let's put him in there, but I'm going to have to go out and buy an actual relief pitcher probably for this upcoming slate.
While you're doing that, let's just look. I'm going to just go to Fangraphs and look at some of the leaders for the relief pitcher stats and just see who have been some of the most valuable relievers this year and give you an idea of who some of the best are. But as far as
Yep.
starters go, you can't do much better than Jacob deGrom.
No, yeah, I think that Jacob deGrom is going to work just fine in that starter spot. That's why I bought it. I figure I can always use this.
Yeah, and I know he left his last start early, but it was with wrist soreness. It doesn't seem to be massively concerning. You'll get that from time to time with deGrom. The thing is, even in 4 innings, deGrom kind of had decent fantasy score in his last start because he pitched 4 no-hit innings with a bunch of strikeouts. So off the top of my head, if I'm not mistaken, like there were DFS contests where he was in the optimal lineup that day just because he still did so well, or he was in the winning lineup, I should say, just because he did so well in those 4 innings he was out there. So deGrom, he's moved to the American League. The stuff is still fantastic this year. I think he's going to have a really good year as long as he stays healthy. So as I said, relief pitcher, we'll just throw in Strider for now because that's what you have at your disposal. And yeah, going forward, I mean, if you get one of these weeks where you get Strider, or a slate, I should say, where Strider and deGrom are both scheduled to make starts, power combination right there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So at first base, you've got Rizzo, you've got McMahon, Joe Connor, Mike Moustakas. So here, I think we're looking primarily at either McMahon or Rizzo. Let me just look. So the upcoming slate, are the Rockies going to be in Coors Field?
Yeah, so that's one approach that I took when I was buying these cards, Greg, is and working under these sums. So I took this approach generally assuming that there's going to be a salary cap based on the last 10 average. And so I bought a bunch of batters in from the Reds and from the Rockies because they have such great hitters parks that I'm like, well, they're going to have lowered last 10 averages every time they're coming back to a home series from an away series was kind of my strategy here. Of course, there is no salary cap in these contests, so currently does not apply. But I think that makes some sense. I don't know how much the actual like last 10 averages go up and down for bats yet. We're new to MLB, so rare, but I imagine it has at least some impact when these batters go on the road, probably don't put up as high scores, and maybe the L10 comes down. We can play him for in a lot of lineups.
For sure. And one thing of note is that the Rockies are going to be on the road for the next 2 series. Then they're going to be home for a homestand for a little bit. So we do have the Rockies at home from April 28th until May 4th. But at least for now, they're going to be on the road for back-to-back series against the Phillies and the Guardians. So with that in mind, I think we want to plug in Rizzo at first base, Mike.
Agreed.
Now moving over to second base. Well, we still got some of the same characters here. McMahon, second base eligible. Jonathan India, though. I like Jonathan India. Elias Diaz. Oh, and by the way, I should mention the positions here. We're actually doing it's corner infielders, middle infielders. So I'd said first base, but it's different positions get grouped together. So we're looking at a corner infielder. Now we're looking at a middle infielder where McMahon is eligible. We've got Jonathan India. Let's see. Who do the Reds have for their upcoming games for the Reds? Because I do think that's going to be pretty important. Like you said, like Rockies hitters, it's funny. You're almost never going to roster Rockies hitters on the road. And then at home, they just become the nuts. It's the same in DFS. Like when you stacking the Rockies for road games and then home games, like, oh, the entire team is 30% on.
Right. What is the...
Boy, it'd be helpful if my computer was faster right now.
All right, I'm working on it. I'm in April, so they're at the Pirates right now through Sunday. Then it looks like they're at home versus the Rangers, the 24th through the 26th.
Yeah, either way, I'm okay with Jonathan India. Let's plug in India here.
Yeah, I'll take games at home again. I mean, obviously, could be facing deGrom in one of those games, but otherwise, I'm fine with facing the Rangers at home.
All right. Jonathan India plugged in. Let's move to the next spot.
And we should keep in mind here that we also are going to want to be stacking. Like this is something, I mean, I guess because there's multiple games, maybe it's not as big of important of a factor, but it still, can help if one of these teams puts up like a big score in one game, puts up 12 runs. Probably a lot of these bats do well. So
yeah, no, it's definitely going to be somewhat impactful. Like the players are still correlated. We're going to want some players from the same team if possible. If, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're rostering, like Donovan Solano over Anthony Rizzo, I don't think.
Yeah. But, or the example that we're looking at right here, like I'm not playing Jake Fraley, I don't think, over Aaron Judge.
Yeah, no. Aaron Judge is pretty easily the guy right here.
Although we get 3 outfielders. So yeah, take Aaron Judge, Mike, please. And then
Yeah.
I think that we actually get to play 3 of these. So
Yeah. So we've got Aaron.
oh, any hitter. Okay. Oh, right. Interesting. So I probably need another stud pitcher that I can maybe need to get a couple more studs to throw in there.
Yeah, so we could also look at some of the pitchers' upcoming starts and see who it is that might stand out. But yeah, so we're going with Aaron Judge there. Now it can be any hitter. By the way, you do have a mini stack here because before we're talking about Rizzo, you got Rizzo and Judge together.
Yeah,
Little two-man action.
that's right.
So we've got Judge, we've got India in there already. And let's see. So who do we want to take here? Scroll up a little bit, Mike. Yeah,
And
let's go with Tyler Stevenson, I believe is, let's see what he has done so far to start the year. So Tyler Stevenson, who was one of the better hitting players with catcher eligibility last year, and he isn't off to the greatest start this year, but last year he did have a 134 WRC plus overall for his career, 114 WRC plus. He's never had below a 110 WRC plus at the major league level. So I expect a pretty good season from Tyler Stevenson, and he does correlate with you already having Jonathan India in this lineup. So
yep.
we've got them going together. And now click on the last spot. So I'm inclined to go with another Reds player here. Just to complete the stack. We got
to so I think in general, do you think we want pitchers here? Like pitchers are going to project better in general. So if I had a stud, would you agree that like if I had another stud pitcher like a Garrett Cole and he's starting, you'd probably play him there, right? But like since
I'd have
I
to put a
don't,
little
so
more thought into it and maybe look at some of our projections. Like, what's more valuable, one start out of Garrett Cole, or say like 3 games from Chris Bryant at Coors Field?
right. But you only get counting stats from your best game, right? As a hitter, I assume.
Oh, true. Yeah. So you're right. So yeah, it would probably still be the pitcher.
But
Yeah, so let's
since
go.
I don't have another pitcher who's projected to start here, I'll have to go out and buy another pitcher, I think, to put in here. But for now, we can. Yeah, I like the idea of stacking. If we're gonna put a batter in there.
Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. So our
Fraley,
options are
Moustakas.
Fraley, Friedel. Yeah, let's go with it's funny. Mike Moustakas is on the Rockies, but he's got the Reds hat on there. But
I didn't realize that he was on the Rockies now. maybe that is why I bought him. I don't know.
He's trying to deceive you with his either that or he's like, hey, I can be whatever you want me to be, Neil.
That's right.
That. Yeah. So let's go with. By the way, I forget. Yeah, let's go with Fraley to fill out the lineup.
Nice. Sure. I can always edit it later.
Yeah. You could submit that. And that will I guess we could fill out one more really quick, but I mean I don't know if we'll really have the time for it. And then also we already used a bunch of your players there. So, and by the way, Mike Moustakas, one more thing, I'm kind of curious, what positions did Mike Moustakas have eligibility at? Because he's played first base, second base, and third base for the Rockies this year, if I'm not mistaken. Just kind of curiosity right now.
Good question. Let me see.
If we click back into him, what position did they give him eligibility at? He's playing all the positions this year. By the way, if you guys haven't done it yet, do us a favor, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to check out Sorare, sign up using the link that we have below. It'll get you access to Sorare, totally free to join the site. By the way, it says Mike Moustakas is not. I'm not going crazy. Mike Moustakas is not on the Reds this year.
If you look over here on the side, it says the Rockies, but on the card, it still has this.
Interesting.
It might be because it's a first year edition. So like he was on the Reds at the time, that card. So I think this is a card from last year.
Okay. That would make sense.
First base, third base, and DH eligibility.
Okay. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, he has played first base, second base, and third base this year, but whatever. It is neither here nor there. If anyone has any further questions, throw them into the YouTube chat, although it doesn't really look like we have any other questions coming in. But Mike, we already closed out. I was going to say, why don't you just show them the secondary market so we could just kind of display how that looks on the screen before we close out. So if anybody hasn't played over at Sorare. And if you do want to purchase some player cards, you go right to the marketplace. You can search for individual players. You can look at what they're selling for. There are some bids going on for players as well. As you can see here, we've got Max Fried. There was one going on there for AJ Minter available. There's a Bo Bichette. So that's another way you can get access to any player you want. Just go search the marketplace and seek those players out. But that is going to do it for us today. If you guys have not done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you very much for watching. Got all our normal content coming up on the YouTube channel later on the day. It is going to be Neil and I, we believe, on Live Before Lock later. So check that out. There's also the NBA Deeper Dive, all of our usual basketball shows for tonight's 3-game NBA slate. So good luck today, guys. Enjoy all the contests. Check out our content later. See you guys there.
All right, you guys are clear. That was good considering none of us knew what was going on. I didn't even have lowers for the bottom. They didn't make them yet, so